Pardon the interruption, but I'm Mike Wilbon. Tony, Kim, and Kanye named their baby Chicago.
I'm Tony Kornheiser because it whines a lot?
No, it's not.
Really?
It's not New York.
Really? Because
it
has
an
inferiority complex about New York?
Really?
Why would you name
Is that because you win so much in New York? Oh, wait.
Is he your boy?
You haven't won it? No.
Is Kanye West your boy? No.
Don't claim it.
How about near North? Because didn't they name one baby North?
He's Southside.
Due North or Due West or something like
North.
that? He should be your boy.
No.
Welcome to PTI, boys and girls. In today's episode, Le'Veon Bell shows up late. LeBron has the first pick in the All-Star draft. And Tony Romo joins us for 5 good minutes. But we begin today with the most talked about appendage in sports, Tom Brady's passing hand. It was begloved again today, and he didn't practice again today. The possibility that Brady might actually not play on Sunday. At his press conference today, all Brady said on that subject was, quote, "we'll see," unquote, has led to all sorts of panic. Wilbon, you poo-poo everything with regard to the Golden Boy.
Yes, I do.
Are you poo-pooing this too?
Of course, he's going to play. He's going to play. Tom Brady's going to play. If he's living and breathing, as you like to say about commissioners, he's going to play. And Tony, I don't believe, look, these things happen in practices all the time. I'm not saying Tom Brady didn't get hurt. And what I'm saying, too, is Tom Brady's a big, strong, tough guy. And he's been that way for nearly 20 years in the NFL.
Think it has no effect on his passing?
It might have an effect. It might have an effect.
Can't be a good effect.
He's still going to be out there,
right,
and he's going to play. And they'll wrap it, or they'll shoot it up, or they'll do whatever they have to do, and the Golden Boy will be out there.
What I love about this story, and all of this story, is the gnashing of the teeth in the greater Boston area and all of New England about the Jimmy Garoppolo trade. Because now they're thinking, whoa, what if Brian Hoyer has to get in there? I told you we shouldn't have traded Jimmy Garoppolo. We need Jimmy the Gent back in this game. And the other thing, the perfection of this is if, and I agree with you that Brady will play, but if Brady doesn't play, look at the quarterbacks in a quarterback league who are in your Final Four. You have Nick Foles, you have Blake Bortles, you have Brian Hoyer, and Case Keenum. And it is a quarterback league. And that would say, oh, it's upside down. It's upside down.
I'm not even, my mind doesn't wander to that. The Patriots, Tony, the Patriots have a credibility problem with most of us. We're not in New England. We're not New Englanders.
Right.
And so to most people, even when you admire Belichick and Brady, and you know I do, I don't believe anything they have to say about injuries, ever. He's listed as probable, no, questionable, which means, what, 50-50? He's going to play. I believe he will be effective enough as Tom Brady for it to be all the difference in the world.
Two things. One thing, do you think he's just playing with people when he says, "we'll see"? Do you think that is
there was a defiance on his face that looked to me like every frat boy
and the second
that
thing
I hated.
Is, Tom Coughlin has beaten Tom Brady and knows how to beat Tom Brady.
As coach.
Do you think Yes. Do you think the Jaguars will go after his hand to get him out of the game?
It's football. Here's what I don't want to hear. 15-yard penalty because you hit a defenseless quarterback. Defenseless Golden Boy.
What if it's
drop a flag because they hit his hand? That'll play into what I'm saying. He's going to be Tom Brady. Stop. You know he is. You can try to build intrigue if you want. It's going to be Tom Brady.
We needed a lead story, and I like it.
You tried it.
I like
nice
this
try out
story.
of you.
I like it.
Nice try. Is he going to play?
I believe he will try to play.
Is he going to be Tom Brady? Yeah, you know he is.
I don't know if it'll be Tom Brady.
That was just a smirk he had. He's earned it. Let's move to the NFC Championship game, which isn't the most glamorous affair ever seen. You have two 13-3 teams with no particular sex appeal because the quarterbacks aren't stars, as you've already mentioned, Tony.
They're not.
Then isn't it wise to focus not on the quarterbacks, but rather the overall quality of those teams?
I think that if you don't have a star quarterback, and let's separate Case Keenum from Nick Foles in this regard. Case Keenum's been there all year. They're 14-3, and he's been the guy for 16 of those 17
Well, you wouldn't know what to hear as head coach tell
So he's the quarterback. Nick Foles, just a few games. But Nick Foles, as we talk all the time, has won in the league before.
Yeah.
I think what you look at is that these are two great defensive teams. So they'll try to run the ball, and they'll try to play defense. I think I would take the under in this game if I was looking at making a bet on this game. I think they'll try to do that. But, Mike, at some point, and we saw this last week, first with Drew Brees and then with Case Keenum, at some point, the conditions are right, and quarterbacks have to make plays. They have to.
We don't have to.
Or not make plays and lose.
Lose the game.
Okay.
I mean, you can turn this over if you've got good defenses. You can run the ball. You got special teams. Tony, the truly great teams that wind up making it to the Super Bowl, and I mean truly great teams now, they all have great defenses and they have good quarterback play. Now, you can get good quarterback play. You're just not going to get that from stellar, household named, pretty boy, a product-selling quarterbacks. Not yet, not unless it's just Tom Brady. So I don't know whether it's going to come down to quarterbacks. Everybody I've heard listen to all week has said what you said. At some point, the quarterback has to make a play. No, he doesn't. The running back could make a play.
Okay.
A linebacker or cornerback could go pick six and make a play.
Who do you think's going to win this game?
Minnesota.
Okay, and you think New England's winning the first game?
Absolutely.
Minnesota.
But let me say this about Minnesota. Minnesota and the Eagles are an even game.
I think they're even.
That's an even game. So there's no surprise there.
Well, the surprise to me, and again, this is betting, the surprise to me is that Minnesota is, I think, a 3.5-point favorite on the road.
Right.
Because last week, they're so lucky to be here,
Okay.
I wouldn't have thought it would be that big a number.
So who you got in that game?
I've got Philadelphia.
Okay.
I've got Philadelphia.
All right.
The Pittsburgh Post-Gazette is reporting that on the last practice, before last Sunday's game against Jacksonville, Steelers star running back Le'Veon Bell arrived just 5 minutes before the end of the practice. And on game day, Bell arrived to the stadium later than Mike Tomlin wanted. Bear in mind that Bell has publicly threatened to retire if the Steelers again slap him with the franchise tag. So, Wilbon, if you were the Steelers, would all of this give you pause before giving Bell a big deal?
Yeah, but a lot of things would give me pause about the Steelers. And again, for a franchise that has won as many Super Bowls as it has, a coaching staff, I mean, Mike Tomlin's won a Super Bowl and been to another. But they embarrassed themselves last week as a team, as a franchise. They did. And that's why some of their investors are going, wait a minute, we're objecting to what happened here. The rule that says you get to a game on game day 2 hours in advance, that puts you in traffic. Try to go to a Redskins game 2 hours in advance, and you'll get there maybe a kickoff.
I don't know how it works in Pittsburgh.
Coaches don't have to get there more than 2 hours in advance. What is that about?
Baseball players for a 7 o'clock game at night are there at 10 in the morning.
They are.
I thought that players loved to live in the clubhouse with their other players.
Okay, so that doesn't appear to be the case with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Le'Veon Bell's a great back, but as we know, we've seen other teams get rid of great backs and keep trucking.
Okay.
They do.
And I'm going to give you the counterpoint to what you just said. And it's not that I disagree with you on this thing, because he's a great back. The culture at Pittsburgh is the indulgence of stars. Look at Ben Roethlisberger. Ben Roethlisberger says, I'm going to retire. I'm not going to retire. I'm not talking to a coordinator. If you take, and I know this is hard to do, if you take New England out of the AFC, every year you like a team, you like the Steelers. They coddle their stars. That's what they do differently than the Patriots. So to me, I'm going to sign this guy because he's really, really good. And I know how to live with him.
Before the end of practice?
I got to tell him you can't do that again, son. You can't do that.
Was his coordinator there? Was he there early enough, too?
Well, they're changing coordinators.
Coaches roll in whenever?
That's what you say is we're changing coordinators.
Well,
Get here earlier.
Seems like Ben had that right to me. In case you missed it last night, the NBA All-Star starters were announced.
I did miss it.
Good. Okay, we're going to recap.
Good.
Curry, Durant, Harden, Davis, Cousins. In the East, LeBron, Freak, Kyrie, DeRozan, and Embiid. LeBron and Curry led all vote-getters, and in a new format for this year's game, they get to choose their respective teams. Tony LeBron picks first. I don't even like this process, but you want the thing televised, don't you?
Oh, my God, yes. I can't believe the NBA is not going to televise this. This is nothing but... Look, here's what the NBA did better than any other league. They understood that the game itself might not be great, so everything around it is great.
That's right.
Everybody wants to watch all of All-Star Weekend. You put this together where they're on TV and they're choosing up sides, and there's drama. When will this guy be chosen? Who's going to be last? At the NHL, they give that guy a car. You're missing a tremendous opportunity
TV show?
for your fans. Absolutely.
Okay, let's play it out right here.
Okay.
We don't even need heads on sticks for this.
Okay.
You're LeBron James.
Yeah.
Who are you choosing first?
Well, I'm not choosing Kyrie.
Okay. Will you tell me who you're
I'm taking Kevin Durant because I deny Curry his teammate, and I get the best other player in the game.
All right, and I'm Steph Curry.
Who you got?
I'm taking Freak. Because that sort of begins to neutralize Durant. I mean, he's sort of a junior Durant. He's not as good as KD,
right?
But he's got a lot of the goods that Kevin Durant has got.
If I'm Steph Curry, I'm thinking of ways that I can manipulate where LeBron has to take Kyrie.
Well, you can't do that fully because Curry picks last among the starters. So let's play it out. Who you got next if you're LeBron?
Who do we have? Who do I have already? Kevin Durant?
I don't
really need anybody else. He and I are going to score 75 points. Who do I take next? I got to go get a guard. Probably James Harden.
Harden makes sense. And I may stay tall. I may take either Embiid or
Davis?
Anthony Davis.
Well, no, which one are you taking?
I'll take Anthony Davis.
Great, because I want Embiid, because Embiid is a go-to media guy. Embiid is going to be fun.
He's not getting media points.
He's going to be fun. On the court, he's going to flap his arms around. He's going to call attention. He's going to make the game fun. That's what I'm going to do. 45,
like Kevin, like Anthony Davis.
I'm going to beat you. Adrian Wojnarowski is reporting that the Charlotte Hornets are making their best and their most popular player, Kemba Walker, available for trade. Why? Because they want to additionally dump at least one of the many bad contracts they have saddled themselves with lately, like Dwight Howard, like Nicholas Batum. Wilbon, does this make any sense to you?
Yeah, because Kemba Walker is a nice player, and he'd be a great fit on some other teams where they have bigs and they need a guard. I'm thinking specifically of New Orleans. Okay. Now, I'm not saying that the New Orleans is going to try to give up Boogie Cousins or that Charlotte even wants Boogie Cousins back because you got Dwight Howard in there. But I'm just saying, if you had Kemba Walker on a team with a guy like Anthony Davis, to me, you improve that team. But Charlotte's going nowhere with Kemba Walker as its best player.
Right.
He's a number 2. He's not a best player. So you got to try and rectify that. So I understand that, yes.
No, here's what I don't understand.
What?
He is their best and most popular player.
He is that.
And you're going to get rid of him because you made bad deals on other players.
No, because you can't
Who's
move
the
anywhere
GM?
in the East.
Why do you have these? Why do you have these bad deals?
Okay, that's a good
Why
question.
do you have these bad deals? So many of them, you have to get rid of your best and most popular player. I grant you that they're not a very good team. They haven't been a good team ever. Well, at least in the last 10 years. They haven't been to the second round in probably more than 10 years or something like that. So
well, they're not getting there with Kemba Walker as their best player.
How do you help your fans have faith in you if you say, in order to get rid of these bozos, we're getting rid of our best player?
Well, it's not the first thing you have to do is get a legit number 1 player. Whether you have to do it through free agency, I don't think that's the way Charlotte's going to do it. Whether you do it through the draft, that's a more likely way, or via trade. Tony, there are teams that stay up there with trades. They don't ever bottom out and go to the process. I understand getting rid of Kemba Walker.
Let's take a break. Coming up, just how much does not throwing against the scout team hurt Tom Brady? We're going to ask Tony Romo.
We'll also ask him if he wants to be back on the field when he sees journeyman quarterbacks starting in the NFC title game.
Don't you think Kemba Walker feels terrible that they're doing this? We are fewer than 46 hours away from the kickoff of the AFC Championship game, a game that will be called by CBS Sports lead NFL analyst Tony Romo, who is at Gillette Stadium in preparation for Sunday's game. I'll butter you up by saying I really do think you've been great this year, but I want you to understand that's being buttered up. The big news, obviously, today is Tom Brady and Tom Brady's thumb and the fact that Tom Brady said when asked, will you play, he said, we'll see. You're a quarterback. If you have an injury to your throwing thumb, how seriously do you take that?
Well, I mean, it's a great question. The one thing I don't want to do, though, is, it's kind of a privilege in some ways for us to be here at the, interviewing these coaches, interviewing Tom. We just got done talking to him, and then also on the practice field, being out there. So I don't think it would be fair from a competitive, situation or to really go into anything on really what happened with Tom or how he feels or any of that stuff. I don't think that would be okay right now. But, I'd say this, for any quarterback in the playoffs, you'll do anything to play. And if you have the opportunity, if Tom Brady can walk, I'm pretty sure he'll end up playing. But, if he can't, then he can't.
Well, to follow up in that same way, and we can make this more general, Tony, going back to your own experiences and guys you've known, are starting quarterbacks of a couple of decades, are they hurt by missing a Friday practice against the scout team? I mean, how much would that matter at this point?
Well, I think the big days that are important sometimes are Thursday and Friday because you're installing new plays. So on Thursday, you're installing usually the third down defense. So it's like, well, how are we going to block their blitzes? So as a quarterback, you want to be able to tell the, running back what to do and be like, listen, when this guy gets here, I'm going to tell you to do this. You're going to signal a play versus a certain coverage and get everyone aware. And then Friday's red zone, which means you're going through all your red zone plays. And when you go through your red zone plays, usually those are new each week. There's a couple of carryover, but there's also a handful of new ones. And so the nuance of that, you want your, specific receiver or someone to run the route a certain way. You want to be out there for that. I would actually argue as long as you're out there, you're okay, especially at Tom's experience level. I think, anytime you're at least around, I think you can talk and communicate. throwing the football is always a good thing, but that's not going to be something that he's too worried about.
Let's broaden this out to include opponents, actually, Tony. As it turns out, Tennessee was no real match at all for the Patriots. What is it about the Jaguars that you're seeing in advance that ought to make this different, if it will be different?
Well, the easy one is that the defense.
And we'll ask you about the NFC. When you look at the starting quarterbacks in the championship game at the NFC, do you say to yourself, I could have won this thing. I could have done it.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I'd probably be in it right now. I'm getting ready to go to the Super Bowl after this one, no question. I took a look at all teams. I did the same thing this offseason. I could have played football, and this is the spot you wanted to be in if you came back. And I knew a long time ago, it's a great team game. There's one thing in common. They all have great defenses. I mean, that's just what it takes sometimes. And if you get one, you have an opportunity to, in the NFC right now, for Case Keenum, and Nick Foles, the idea in this game is to create one drive in the second half it's gonna come down to that. There's gonna be one drive you got to go score to help your team win the game. Great quarterbacks do it, other guys, don't. And I think that in this specific game, you don't have to win the game through, you could lose it early. You can throw 2 interceptions in the first quarter and your team's out of it. But, go out there, take a sack if you have to, throw the ball away, take your shots. Take them calculated, though. One-on-one on the outside, throw the football. Let them go. There's 2 guys out there defensively. Don't throw that ball. Don't ever give the other quarterback a short field. Make the other guy go 12 plays, 80 yards, over and over and over again. And against those defenses, you're not going to put together a lot of drives. So, to me, over there, it's going to come down to one possession in the second half, as long as no one, turnovers are always the reason, but as long as no one turns the ball over from a quarterback perspective, got to make a drive at the end to go send your team to the Super Bowl.
Thank you so much for being with us. And we really do think you've been terrific in the first year. It's really been good to listen to.
Oh, I appreciate it. It reminds me of back when PTI came on and everyone was talking about you guys. I don't know what happened, but great job, guys.
A long time ago. The AFC Championship game on CBS kicks off at 3 p.m. on Sunday. Let's take one last break, but still to come. How good should the Cavaliers feel about their narrow win over the Magic?
That win had drama. Did you see any of that? Should the Dolphins be as interested in Baker Mayfield as he appears to be?
JaVale McGee, world champion. McGee currently averaging 4 points, 2 rebounds, and 8 minutes a game for the Golden State Warriors. But in the spirit of Kendrick Perkins, I assume you're going to tell me how important McGee is for the Warriors, as opposed to being a knucklehead, which he was with the Wizards.
Perk was a starting center on a championship team. You're not going to try to equate the two of them, are you?
I think I
he gives them depth with the Warriors, but he's not the starting center.
Happy anniversary, your boy Tom Brady. On this day 16 years ago, Brady beat John Gruden and the Oakland Raiders in the famous Tuck Rule game. What stands out most here? That after 16 years, Gruden is now back with the Raiders and Brady is still with the Patriots. What is that French phrase? Plus ça change, plus c'est la même chose.
I don't know what the hell you're talking about.
The more things change, the more they stay the same.
I look out there and see Gruden. He looks the same. Like 16 years didn't do anything to him in terms of age.
Near happy trails to a Cavs win against the Magic. Cavs were outscored by 19 in the second half, but held on to win one by 1. Since Christmas Day, in second halves of games, they are last in the NBA in point differential, field goal percentage, paint points per game, and opponent 3-point field goals against. LeBron said afterwards, quote, right now we're in Strugglesville.
But you don't think this is different? You said that earlier this week.
I don't, because he'll make a change, and everything will be fine down the road.
They're going to bring in a 26-year-old whip?
They'll bring in somebody.
Okay.
One omission. Danny Amendola says Tom Brady did throw some footballs at practice today, and that he believes he caught some.
Okay.
Let's go to the big finish.
Let's do it.
Your boy Baker Mayfield posted,
my boy.
Get me to Miami on social media, then backed off. Should the Dolphins want him?
No, and more importantly, some draft boards have him going to your Washington Redskins. Thank you very much, Mel Kiper. Nick Saban promoted Mike Locksley to offensive coordinator. You like that?
He's a great recruiter. He's a great recruiter.
He is.
The Mets have invited Tim Tebow to spring training again. I know you're excited about his prospects.
There are 2 stories I want banned. I want all LeVar Ball stories banned, and I want this. And I like Tebow. The Vegas Golden Knights, they beat the Ning 4-1. They're a legit cup threat, aren't they?
If that's the case, the owners will go crazy because they stocked this team.
Yeah,
it's an expansion team. They'll be so angry. Last one. Warriors and Rockets tomorrow. Who you got?
Now, who I got is what I got. I got a front row seat at that game. ABC, primetime Saturday night, kicking off that season, Tony. I Maybe I got the Rockets even depleted depth. No
Nice
Trevor
promo.
Ariza, huh?
We're out of time. Try and do better the next time. I'm Tony Kornheiser.
You better watch Countdown before the game. I'm Mike Wilbon. Have a great weekend, Knuckleheads. You can get the podcast on the ESPN app.